Hey, I'm Joy. Today, we're gonna talk about data warehouse deployment. Things like major deployment activities, consideration for pilot, security, lastly, backup and recovery. At this stage, a large number of critical activities have been completed, all the components have been tested and the pieces are in place. Here are the 6 major deployment activities. First, complete user acceptance. Here, final testing of all aspects of user interface including system performance is done. Next, perform initial loads. First, load dimension tables, followed by the fact tables and create the aggregate tables. Then, get user desktop ready. Install all the needed desktop user tools and test each client machine. Fourth, complete initial user training. Train the users on data warehouse concepts, relevant contents, and data access tools. Fifth, institute initial user support. Set up support to assist the users in basic usage, answer questions, and hold hands. Sixth, deploy in stages. Divide the deployment into manageable stages in agreement with users. Considerations for a pilot. The pilot is a separate and distinct, with specific purposes. It enables your project team to gain broad and specific experience with the new technologies, and demonstrate proof of concept to your users. Types of pilot projects. Proof of concept pilot. This type of pilot must provide a sampling of all the major features to show the utility of the warehouse and how easy it is to get information. Its main goal is to impress on the minds of the users that the data warehouse is very effective means for information delivery. Proof of technology pilot. This type of pilot is the simplest and easiest to build, but it is mainly built for IT to prove 1 or 2 technologies at a time. It is wanting to get beyond the product demonstrations and claims of the vendors. Comprehensive test pilot. This type of pilot is developed and deployed to verify that all the infrastructure and architectural components work together and well. It enables the IT professionals and the users on the project team to appreciate the complexities of the data warehouse. User tool appreciation pilot. This type of pilot provides users with tools they will see and use. In this type of pilot, you keep the data content and the data accuracy in the background. The focus is just on the usability of the tools. Broad business pilot. This type of pilot has a broader business scope. It based on a specific set of requirements that has a few problems. First, you are under time pressure. Depending on the requirements, the scope of the pilot could be too narrow to get integrated with the rest of the data warehouse later on. Expandable seed pilot. First, note the motivations for this type of pilot. You want to come up with something with business value. The scope must be manageable. It has to be simple. It is like planting a good seed and watching it germinate and then grow. Choosing the pilot. The major thrust of any pilot comes from the same motivations as one of the types described. Remember that no actual pilot falls exclusively within one specific type. The actual names do not matter. The scope, content, and motivations count. Expanding and integrating the pilot. Every pilot has specific purposes. You build and deploy a pilot to achieve certain defined results. Security. In a single operational system, security provisions govern a smaller segment of the corporate data, but data warehouse security extends to a very large portion of the enterprise data. Security policy. First and foremost, the security policy must recognize the immense value of the information contained in the data warehouse. The policy must provide guidelines for granting privilege and for instituting user roles. Backup and recovery. In an OLTP mission-critical system, loss of data and downtime cannot be tolerated. Loss of data can produce serious consequences. Why back up the data warehouse? A data warehouse houses huge amounts of data that has taken years to gather and accumulate. The users cannot afford to lose even a small part of the data that was so painstakingly put together. Backup strategy. Formulate a clear and well-defined backup and recovery strategy. Although the strategy for the data warehouse may have similarities to that for an OLTP system, still you need a separate strategy. Setting up a practical schedule. A practical backup schedule for your data warehouse certainly depends on the conditions and circumstances in your organization. Recovery. Notice the backup files and how they are used in the recovery process. Also, note how the possibility of some loss of data exists.